My Asus Zephyrus M15 with the 2060 and the 2070 and the issues I had with customer service and so on and so forth. And I asked for your guys' opinion, and you let me know in the comments. You definitely let me know. Some of you were excited about the laptop because you ordered one and you're waiting for it to come. Some of you had the laptop already and you weren't experiencing the issues that I have been experiencing, and yeah, not a lot of people have had the experience that I had in terms of the bugs, etc. And after talks with Asus, after talks with Geek Squad, and a lot of self-diagnosing, like it had to be a hardware issue, like a one-off. Maybe I had a defective unit, and Asus would have covered it, but I'm outside their region of support, so it was very little for them, little that they could do on their end, and there was very little I could do on my end because I'm outside of the US at the moment. So I just decided to buy a portable hard drive and back up all my software and reset the machine. Ever since I reset the machine, it has been running quite a bit better than before, and I haven't installed any Microsoft apps from the App Store like Forza, Horizon, and on a few of those other games, because before Forza would just crash. It just wouldn't load. It will stay it will just close itself, and I couldn't update the Microsoft apps, and I couldn't get software updates. That was just the issue I've been having, so I didn't bother to go back and re-download it because it's a large file, and the Microsoft Store is just a buggy place to begin with. So I just didn't want to mess around because I don't want to have to reset the machine again. I have had experiences in the past where the Microsoft Store just crashes, and no matter what I do, it never recovers itself unless you reset the machine. So you can't install app updates, and if you for example Forza, if you have Forza installed, you would not be able to play the game because it just wouldn't launch. Maybe the update hasn't been installed, something along those lines. So I don't want to go through that hassle of downloading and re-downloading anymore. I just have my productivity apps and programs installed, and that's it. So part of my issue with this machine isn't necessarily Asus's fault. It has to do with Intel and their mediocre processor, and this, on the other hand, it has to do with me, my preferences, my use cases. I potentially, even though I want the processing power, the horsepower, the computing power of, let's say, a gaming machine, a professional machine, and I have my use cases for that power, I don't necessarily want the downsides or the drawbacks of having a gaming machine. So the downsides are its weight. it's the heat of the machine, how much heat it produces, the thickness of the machine, and the poor battery life. Those are the downsides, and the inefficiencies that come with it. I don't necessarily appreciate that, and that's one of the things that frustrates me the most, because the way I use the computer right now, it's basically like a desktop. I have it plugged in all the time, hooked up to my monitor, and I dare not unplug it because I have so many wires. So my microphone, my camera, because this laptop doesn't come with a webcam, the HDMI, the USB-C dock, the charging port, you know, you see where I'm going with this. There was, on one hand, there was me. There's two things that my perception, you know, going into me buying this laptop. I expected way too much from the laptop. That whereas I became disappointed, and the laptop couldn't provide those things that I was expecting, and the inefficiencies and the heat and the weight that comes with a gaming notebook. So whereas, okay, so if I had an Ultrabook, for example, or like a M1 MacBook, for example, because quite frankly, the M1 MacBook would destroy any regular Windows machine. It just would. It's more efficient. It has way more battery life, and it just really makes use of whatever power it has. You guys seen the benchmarks and the real world tests and stuff like that. So if I had like a MacBook, for example, I will have a USB-C dock that plugs in. It's taking power. It's taking my HDMI signal and the USBs. Everything is in that one port. So if I want to go, or I want to work on my bed, or I want to carry a laptop downstairs, just unplug one cable and I'm out. I don't have to be sitting here unplugging 50 odd cables just to lift the laptop up and go. You know, it's that kind of annoyance that I have with it. So it's basically like a permanent setup here that I do not want to move. I do not want to touch. The build quality is another thing. It's plastic. The only thing that's reinforced with metal is the deck lid. The deck where the palm rest. Everything else is just plastic. The screen is flimsy plastic. When I got this laptop out of the box, the screen was kind of warped like this, and that's because of how cheaply made the display panel is. You don't get those issues on Macs or other high-end laptops. So that's another complaint I had with this machine. In particular, one of the reasons I'm waiting off, I'm holding back on a MacBook purchase, is because I just dropped my money into this machine, and I don't think the M1 is there just yet. I want more RAM available, and I want maybe more ports available, and they don't have that yet. They also don't have, you know, the pro performance as yet. So I'm waiting for the M1X, maybe the M2 later down the line, and maybe then I'll save up again and I'll be able to make that leap into the Mac ecosystem. Because I'm already halfway in terms of having an iPhone and having an iPad and those sort of things. So and having most of my stuff on iCloud using the iDrive and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be a difficult transition. You know, I'll have to learn all the shortcuts and what programs to use and stuff like that, but I think I'll be happier in the long run with that ecosystem and setting up my thing like that. So if I were to make this purchase again, I would probably buy a gaming desktop. So I have the performance like a game, play my games and whatever, and have that on my desk. And then also buy like a M1 MacBook Air or like something like that. So I could work on the go. I could work on my bed. I could carry the laptop wherever I want without any worries about battery life or performance. And then, like, you know, still have my setup here to play my games or whatever. So mainly, basically the thing is, having an iPhone and, you know, kind of doing some of my work from my iPhone, it's easy. It's really easy to transfer documents and video files and photos and stuff to a MacBook, to work on it, edit it, whatever the case may be. The process is a little more difficult. There's a few more steps involved when you have to transfer files and documents to a Windows machine. It's not impossible to do, but it's just a tad more difficult, if you will. If I plug in my phone to just copy the files off, it will crash. That's just how it is. So I use Google Photos to kind of roughly back up what I have, and then I'll have to go and download it from Google Photos on the web. But it's processed, I think. It's not the raw. I don't think it's the raw files. That's debatable. But yeah, that's basically it. That's all my issues with the laptop. It's not a terrible machine. It's just it didn't necessarily fit my needs, and it's not necessarily what I want out of a computer. I appreciate the performance that it has, but I don't like the drawbacks. I don't like the downsides of the machine. And I hope I hope you guys don't have any of the issues I do. And that I hope the purchase works out for you guys, because the purchase didn't necessarily work out for me. Yeah, so I'm making do with the laptop, and I'm not gonna complain because I know I have to work with it. But that's it. Those are my final thoughts on this laptop. Hopefully, let me know in the comments. What you think of the final thoughts. I know some of you have the laptop. Let me know how you guys are getting on with your laptop, if you have any issues, if you don't have any issues, and what your setup is like. How do you use the Zephyrus? What peripherals do you have, you know? Yeah, let me know. I'll love to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys think, and how you guys are using your laptop. And I'll see you guys in a bit. Talk to you guys later. I would have a video up in a couple weeks or so, addressing my TMJ jaw issue. I had my left side, my teeth extracted, and on Monday I am gonna get my right side extracted. So I'll basically make a video discussing the whole Invisalign treatment and the extractions and my recovery process. So enough said.